What's going on, guys? It's your boy CJay and I'm back again with another Division video. So today I'm going to be bringing you guys this highly requested video. People want to know how I run solo, how I go manhunt by myself, how I deal with multiple people by myself in the dark zone, how I counter, the seeker mines and the turrets and the striker shotgun spammers and all that stuff. So in this video I'm going to teach you guys and give you guys some tips on how I run solo, and just some of them are pretty basic, but some are more or less common sense, but some people don't seem to use that in the dark zone. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. The first thing I want to get out of the way is the build piece, since obviously I should probably include that in here. People think that you need to run all firearms or like AK firearms just to melt people and run solo. That is not the way to do it. You want to invest into skill power and skill haste. The reason I say that is because in this patch you can one clip someone with like 6k firearms or even less than that if you have the right gun and the right build. However, when you are making a build for solo play, you want more heals. Getting your heals faster and having bigger heals than the people that you're going against will always bring you on top. Having 8k or 9k firearms, sure, it may melt people in a 1v1 or something, but it won't help you like survive manhunts. It won't help you survive the barrage of people that are going to be coming after you when you go rogue. So try and keep that in mind. Lower cooldowns is definitely the way to go. So I just want to point that out. So the first thing I want to talk about is movement. I know this may sound like it's common sense, but a lot of people in the dark zone especially, they tend to make themselves really easy targets to kill. They just stand still and ADS, or they just try and run up in your face and hip fire and not move very much at all, or even stay in cover. As a solo player, you don't want to do that. You can do it, but it's not efficient. Like making yourself a harder target to kill, and I don't just mean by strafing or abusing the strafe mechanic or whatever, is just moving around, moving from cover to cover or going in and out of covers, so like people can't just easily shoot you with aim or aim for headshots even, because you're moving around so much and have to continuously adjust their aim. That makes it harder for you to kill. And when you have decent aim or even really good aim, whichever, you are able to take advantage of the fact that people are trying to adjust their aim when you may have faster aim. Having a good reaction time, of course, will definitely be a prime in this situation, but being able to just make yourself a harder target to kill will always be good, because I mean, you can't, face tanking in this game is stupid, because like that doesn't really prove anything. Like I said before, it doesn't really matter how much health you have. Anyone with firearms will just melt you, as well as anyone with a high pulse will be able to melt you. Anyone with a seeker mine or whatever will be able to melt you. Doesn't matter if you have 190k health or 250k or even more health than that. It doesn't really matter. And it definitely doesn't matter if you're not moving. Like if you're standing still, it doesn't matter how much you have, how much health you got. So keep that in mind. The second thing I want to talk about is knowing the map. The reason I say this is because when you know the map, you know where NPCs are, you know where the landmarks are, you know where the medkits are. All these stuff are important. When you are going rogue, I find that a lot of people will make this mistake where they'll go rogue across the street from a shit ton of purples or golds or whatever NPCs, and like that never works out. I've made this mistake multiple times where I'll go rogue with a bunch of NPCs around me, and I'll have all the NPCs doing damage to me. If you're being attacked by NPCs and players, it just doesn't help anything. You're using more medkits than you want, using more heals than you want, and it just doesn't help anything. And when you know the map, you'll know where medkits are. The reason why I say knowing where the medkits are is because you only have 5 medkits, and when you are going rogue, you want to be running and finding those medkits so you can actually stay in the fight. If you run out of medkits, you can't really continue to fight a long battle or against a shit ton of people, because I mean, you only have 2 heals and then maybe your recovery link if you decide to run your build that way. So keep that in mind, knowing where the med kits are. There's a shit ton of them around the map. I might make a video showing where all of them are, but knowing where they are will definitely help you out. It'll also help you with knowing where to fight, where to start going rogue, because if you know that there's a med kit around the corner that's up at the time, then at least you'll know that if you run out of med kits at some point, you can run and pick that one up. So try and keep that in mind. When I go rogue, I find that I'll always be going rogue near where the med kits are, or if I am running from people, I will run towards where the med kits are, and I'll kind of make my little manhunt route through that way. So just keep that in mind. My next tip is about closed space fighting, like areas that aren't so widened. What I mean by that are like tunnels or even in buildings. When I go rogue a lot, when I'm fighting multiple people, a lot of times if I'm running to find a better spot to fight them in, I will bring them somewhere that is more closed, compact. So like, let's say the tunnels that you guys can see in this clip, they all come down and they rush me, but it makes it easier for me to counter them rushing me, because a lot of players, when they're in groups, they just rush into you because, you know, they have that 3 or 4 man advantage, or at least they think, so they rush in guns blazing, think that they won't die. But when you know where you're bringing players, especially when it's into a small area, in a small area you can't dodge every grenade. If I throw a grenade on a place that's really small, it's not really easy for them to dodge roll out of it or anything like that, so they almost always get hit by it. Second, I don't have to adjust my aim 24/7 to kill them. I can literally aim at all of them and just shoot down the hallway, and all of them will take damage, and it's a lot easier for me to focus on one person because they can't. It limits them from strafing, it limits them from trying to run all the way around me, like go really wide. So it just makes it easier in that sense to kill them. And while that can be said about you as well, but if you are standing in cover or something, it makes it harder for them to aim at you, and they will try to push down that hallway or down that closed area to kill you, and that usually does not work out. As you can see in this clip, I knew they were going to keep coming down the stairs. I can throw a nade on the stairs, and they can't really dodge it, so unless they go back up the stairs and not push me. But of course, if they're in a group, they're like, hey, you know, let's push CJay, and he's gonna die. And as you guys can see, it didn't really work out for them. So using small spaces to kill multiple players is very good. It can backfire on you if you run into people that just want to spam short bows and shit. It's kind of it may not work for you sometimes, but if you do use it properly, you stay distant from your enemy, it will always be good. Which is going to go into my next tip, which is not hip firing this patch. Alright, and you can hip fire, but like, don't be that player that runs in someone's faces and hip fires multiple kids, because that is not going to work. Alright, like I said, the easiest way to kill someone that's running around hip firing is by simply moving back and then aiming down your sight and killing them, or just throwing a damn nade on them so they stop moving and they're dead. So staying further back from your enemy is probably one of the best things that you can do, especially when you practice your ADS, which this patch you should be doing. I don't think I should have to be telling you guys that, but practicing your ADS is definitely key in this patch. When you are staying away from your enemy, especially when you're using all the tips I already showed you guys, like the movement and all that stuff, you are going to be able to just focus down one enemy at a time, one by one by one by one, and people will try and force themselves to come to you. They will try and run in your face to hip fire, or they'll try and get closer to you because they feel like their aim isn't very good. And a lot of people, especially on console, don't have the best aim. I don't have the best aim myself either, but my aim is alright. So when they try and push you, it just makes it very easy for you to kill them. So try and keep that in mind. ADSing and having your aim on fleek is definitely like the way to play. Alright, like, don't, like, running in someone's face and hip firing, sure, maybe in the 1v1 where someone is like, if you feel like you need to do that, but like, you shouldn't really have to hip fire. ADSing is definitely the way to kill people a lot more efficiently, especially since you don't have to like push up on them. And that's gonna go into my next tip, which is not pushing on groups or even anyone. If you're dealing with multiple people, I'll find that there are a lot of people who do this, where they will down someone and then they'll be so fiendish to run in and try and kill that player and totally forget that there are multiple players shooting at them. You don't want to do that. If you kill someone while you're ADSing and there's multiple people maybe in front of them or behind them, just focus the player down or even throw a nade on the guy and then keep running, because when you push into that player, and especially when it might be someone that's in a group with someone else that's killing you, they're gonna know that once you start running for them, that's who you're going for, and you're gonna make yourself a really easy target to kill. So definitely keep that in mind, because a lot of people make that mistake. I made that mistake myself, where I'll push players because they're down and I just want to get that kill, and I usually end up dying when I do stuff that's stupid, because there are some people that will counter that and throw a nade on that person knowing that you're going to go hit them, and then that nade hits you because that's exactly where you're going. So try to not do that stuff. Always just ADS, focus, and just keep moving. Don't run in to hit someone unless like that person is by themselves or something like that. So keep that in mind. So next thing I want to talk about is counters. Basically what I mean by that is learning to counter certain stuff and when to actually use medkits. And what I mean by counters, I mean seeker mines, flame turrets, shock turrets. When you're running solo, you're going to be dealing with those a lot, and while they can be annoying, you can't run solo and not be able to counter this stuff. While I will say that you can't counter everything all the time, it's not easy, but knowing or using some of these tips or knowing how to counter these things can make it a bit more easier for you to counter them when people are running flame turrets and seeker mines and all that stuff. So for flame turrets and shock turrets, don't pop a medkit if you are running an immune station, because it's a waste of a medkit. Like, I do understand people pop medkits so they can get rid of it, but if you have an immune station down, it makes it a lot easier, especially if you are in an area where you don't think you're going to run. A lot of people will run from the flame turret, and that will put them at a disadvantage. You can actually just put your immune station down and then stay there and fight that person. You can take the burn damage or the flame turret's damage, but you won't be on a status effect, so you can actually deal with that. As well as with a shock turret, it's basically the same thing. You can just put an immune station down instead of wasting a med kit, because if you pop a med kit and you're still near that turret, you're gonna go right back on fire. You're gonna go right back to being shocked if you're not already dead from the first shock. So keep that in mind. With people that run the active sensor turrets, they're pretty easy to counter. You can literally just run in a circle around it like once or even twice or whatever, and the game will kind of screw with it. Like, it will just not be able to detect you for a couple of seconds, and that time you can honestly just drop the player who's running it. As well as if you need to run or something, you can pretty much do that. But yeah, the active sensor turrets are really easy to counter. If you don't want to do that, if you're not running an immune station, definitely use a disruptor. You can just shoot it in a general area where that guy may be, and it will stop seekers, it will stop everything. The only reason I don't use disruptors as much as a solo player is because of the cooldown that it has. Of course, you can actually just use a medkit and be rid of it, so I think it's a lot easier to just play something down and you be immune to it and like not put them on a status effect and actually like have to wait for it to come back, and then like someone can just pop a med kit real quick. You can also throw an EMP grenade down and all that stuff. So there are ways to counter it. When you do run into these turret seekers, all that stuff, you got to be quick to react, because if you aren't, then you will die. With seekers, you can dodge roll out of it, you can run away from them. There's a lot of other things. If you're running from someone and they drop a seeker mine, or like you're fighting in an area where there are NPCs and they drop a seeker mine, just turn around and go towards the NPCs because it will actually auto detect towards the NPCs, and the damage will go on the NPCs instead of you. So you can definitely make use of that as well. Like I said, knowing the map is going to make you a lot better as a player, because you will be able to counter that stuff at like a moment's notice if you know what you're doing. So keep all that stuff in mind. That's pretty much my last tip. As a mental tip, I would say stay in a party chat. Keep out of game chat. Keep your mic not in, because people will talk shit. People will clap over your body. You won't win every fight, but people will love to talk trash, and when you are not focused because people are talking trash to you, you won't be doing good. So keep all those tips, use them all. If there's anything I missed, I'll definitely try and cover it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. If this helped you in any way, drop a like. If you guys need help with anything and you're on Xbox, you can always add my gamertag, and it's in the description below if you guys don't already know it, and I can definitely help you guys out in some ways. And that's really about it. It's been your boy, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I'm out. Peace.